Now, can you specifically, okay, let's ask it one at a time. Do you think that there is danger involved in this whole idea of referendum? I mean, if we are having different, diverse thoughts concerning this particular issue right from time, do you think that there are dangers? If there are, what can you specifically say are the dangers that are involved in the whole idea of referendum? Peradventure, it is imposed.
Well, President Sako said it rightly. At this moment, the idea of a referendum is dead. It's not going to go anywhere because
He actually said
I,
it's
I, I'm not getting you.
well. I was trying to give you President Sako's words, were that the referendum at this point in time is a trap. I was just trying to give you the exact words.
Yes, the referendum at this point in time it's not even going to go anywhere because the the proposals are being put as a consensus that will bind Yaoundé. There are all two parties to the conflict. Yaoundé has not been bought into it. Yaoundé does not buy our own version. They think that we're part of them. So why would they even suggest a referendum? Why would they even suggest a referendum? It's going nowhere. Even if the United Nations said we want a referendum, it's not going to bind them because for a referendum to take place, the Yaoundé must be prepared to withdraw its administration to allow whoever third party to come and organize a referendum. Yaoundé at this point has not accepted to withdraw Kalabilai, to withdraw the prefect, to withdraw the Elekam. So it's not even a thing worth wasting your time on. It's not going to go anywhere. Referendum is dead on arrival. We are not yet there. But if we came on the table of a discussion, we would argue against it. It could come if there were ever a conference to address the root causes of the problem. Somebody will bring up the idea of the referendum. So they will just keep quiet. We have to prepare arguments against it. Why a referendum? It should not work. And let the guy who proposed it put the reasons. Again, I've said it many times before. The idea of a referendum, I don't even know what question they're going to put to Ambazonians. The whole idea of a referendum coming from this IG at this time defeats the whole reason why we're even fighting. We are fighting for the total restoration of our sovereignty. And then you go to ask your own citizens whether they want to be with you or they want to go and join somebody else. Can you do that? That question should not come from us. If we finally get a country and there are Bazondians who did not like it because they wanted to be in Yaoundé, they're at liberty to walk and go and stay in Yaoundé. That's free immigration all over the world is like that. There are Ambazonians here who live in Nigeria. They are not going back to Cameroon. There are Cameroonians who live in Kumba, live in Bamenda, live in Ambazonia. They didn't go back when they voted to join East Cameroon. So our Ambazonian brothers and sisters who think that Yaoundé is best for them will walk to Yaoundé and stay there. If they think that is a better place for them, just like they can go to Central African Republic. They can go to Equatorial Guinea. They can go to Britain. Some of them are there. I talk about Dr. Gumne, he died in England. So there's no danger there. We put our position. If we vote at the end of the day and get what we want to get, those who don't like it are going to be bound by it because the majority carries the vote. If you know it is too much for you to bear, you move out of that place. As simple as that. And go to where you feel comfortable. For if you have to live in any community, you must live by the will of the majority. You must abide by the laws of the place. And if you don't have any other question again, I will address the role of the United Nations if they were ever to come in. Because they have mentioned it
Let's do
many
that
times.
briefly, sir.
Because they have mentioned many times in that their document, internationally supervised uh, referendum. Somewhere they say UN supervise. Yes, the UN can supervise elections, be it referendum, plebiscite, or something. They can supervise. But what does supervision mean? They come to help you oversee what is going on. When they say they come to help you, they are coming to help who? Are they coming to help Obia? Are they coming to help Tanganji? Are they coming to help President Sako? No. They are coming to help the institution that is running the elections for that government. That's running the plebiscite. That's running the referendum. They're coming to assist them technically. That's what its members supervise. And so how do they do it? They have a code approved at the United Nations, a code for elections, because we're dealing with elections. How can free and fair elections be done? They have this code, they bring this code and explain to you. I gave the example last time. For example, under that code, a polling station should not have more than 500 people. They can't explain to that. Yeah, people organizing the election, they explain to them. And they make sure they carry on that. That's how a polling station should be. How is counting done at the end of the day? They show you how to do it. They give you technical know-how. For example, they would, if they come full-fledged, they will equip the electoral departments of the country, call it wherever they are, they equip them with computers where they can put the database right straight away. You go to central database, like you go and put your money in Bank of America here, you can go to Indian Bank of America, you find your name there. They will show you how to dictate registration fraud. You have a database, the structures are there, the software is there. That if you register to vote in Santa as a polling station, you cannot go again register to vote in Bafoot because these are within traveling distances. When you register once, if you put your name again, the computer will kick you out. They will give you other information. That is supervision. That's helping you. And again, I said in my last outing here, when this thing came up, that I say this with practical experience. I had worked in Burundi in 2004 as a United Nations election officer. I worked in the Ivory Coast in 2005, going down, as a United Nations elections officer who oversaw the presidential elections in Burundi, 2004. I was a very big player. We oversaw the elections in Cote d'Ivoire. I was part of that process. In the Cote d'Ivoire, we assisted, I was one of the people who assisted in identifying Ivorians. By their own text, they had agreed. Because the crisis in Ivory Coast came because of the exclusion of Ouattara on the claim that he was not Ivorian. That was the causes of the crisis. But the people agreed, not the United Nations, that look, let us define who is an Ivorian. They agreed by themselves. And among the things they say an Ivorian should be a person whose one father or one mother, one of the parents must be Ivorian. It's not enough to say that. How are you going to identify that? They put it down themselves. We will take a court, go to places, call it the magistrate will leave from Bamenda up to Santa, where there's contested citizenship. And if I'm the one in Santa claiming that I'm Ambazonian, I'm Ivorian or Ambazonian, I will bring two witnesses to say, well, this is me here. My father came from that village, from Bachu. My mother came from here. And if nobody opposes that, I will register as Ambazonian or as an Ivorian. I will be given a voter card right there. I will register as a voter and I will vote. That's how the people determine the rule in advance. And the UN only helps them to implement. And so that is how UN supervised elections mean. And I can cue it back to 1961, February 11, 1961, where we had a plebiscite, UN supervised plebiscite. I've said here that the thing was organized by the West Cameroon government, the frontier government. But how did the UN supervise it? They didn't even have what we were talking about, like computers. They sent one single election of a plebiscite commissioner who did not have a lot of time there. Who here can tell me, who in Ambazino can say he saw this guy, this Iranian guy who was appointed? How many times did you ever see him in Bamenda, a big town like that? Or in Kambe, or in Mamfe? He started in Boya. All he needed to do was to be sure that People had voted without fighting. Nobody was excluded. And he made a report. And this is found in the resolution 1608. The first part of it says, upon reading the plebiscite commissioner's report, the UN agrees that the election was fair and free, and that the people freely expressed their desires. That Mr. Trinsky, who came from Iran, he did not go down to show people how to vote. So UN supervise is not what people say all the time. No. The UN supervises by helping the structures in place. And Bazoum does not have the structures in place to conduct a referendum, to conduct a plebiscite, to conduct even any elections. We don't have the structures in place. And so calling for one on the pretext that the UN or the international community will come and help you, it's just lie. The second thing the UN can do, and they do all the time, is they go there as observers, just to observe, was there any fight, was there any cheating? The international community sometimes does that. But who is the international community? You do that and invite the international community. Yaoundé would produce its own international community. In 2018, they had presidential elections. They produced their own international observers. They create them. So we don't just go out for this. They will say, okay, France, come. You're part of the international committee. Come observe. They will buy somebody. They bought their own observers in 2018. So let us be careful with what we say. Again, if this is a strategy, it is a wrong strategy. Those who do negotiations know that there are things that you don't say. If they came from your mouth, your opponent will not accept. That's the last thing, because that way you will support me. You don't accept what comes. You don't just accept what comes from your opponent's mouth. You look for the consensus in between. And again, as practical experience, in the Ivory Coast issue, the government delegation was led by Afi N'Guessan. He was the prime minister. And when they went to negotiate, Afi N'Guessan, because he was the prime minister, he gave in to many things. He came back, there was nothing the Laurent Gbagbo government could do. He was the prime minister, he committed them. So the only thing they did was to fire him as the prime minister, fire him from their party, but they were bound by the decisions that he had taken. Till today, he's still struggling to get back to politics. They cannot accept him because he was a high-ranking official. He stood there in the government. He gave in. The government is bound by that decision. The connect can say, well, I think N'Guessan didn't send him now. That will be like what happened in so-called Canadian talks. They call in for a talks, and they will come and say he's representing Yaoundé, you just accept. The man who comes to represent you there, represent the government there, should be one who can bind the government. The same thing with Ambazonia. You cannot just go and create people and say, well, we're talking to Ambazonians. Choyaba cannot bind anybody. Mbakuru does not have anybody to bind and say you're negotiating with Ambazonia. That's why I said earlier, if we are doing anything without this IG, the thing is doomed to fail. Like it is doomed to fail. Because all this IG presently in our system can take binding decisions on Ambazonia. It is not an invention of President Sako. In the conclave that created the IG in Nigeria, they wrote in Resolution 13 or 14 like that going forward, all representation of Ambazonia case shall be under the IG. They wrote it down in black and white. So it's not President Sako trying to impose himself on people. No, that was what the fourth conclave said. That created the IG. So going to do a referendum, going to do anything without the blessings of the IG is null and void.